Good morning. Welcome to round two of the COVID Classic foot traffic versus pretty much North Harbour Tri Club and a whole lot of other invitational riders today. How you going, Rob?
I'm very good, Anna. I'm so excited. I'm so looking forward to this one. This is going to be a great race.
Yeah, so tell us,
I'm
you're sort
beside
of
myself.
the mastermind behind the format today. Give us a bit of a rundown.
Yeah, well, I was running. Well, initially, it was going to be a handicap time trial, and as I was running through the start list, I just realised that the it was going to be so spread out, and to ride that as an individual race, it was just going to be just verging on quite boring for everybody watching and everybody racing. So I thought, why not? Let's make the groups. Let's make the handicap group race, bring it all together. And so we've split the field up into groups, into 10 groups, handicapped from 0 minutes through to 25 minutes. And as we get further along through that time, the riders get faster and faster. So I think we're going to see a really, really exciting race here. It's going to be a race to the finish line. Line honours, whoever gets there first is the winner. And the 25-minute group are just as likely to get through to win it overall as maybe a 15-minute group or a 10-minute group. So anything can happen here. I'm so excited.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's have a look at the course. So we've got 2015 UCI Worlds course, one of the first Worlds after Watopia that came out on Zwift. And I've ridden this course quite a few times. I know you probably have as well, Rob. And it's a bit of a sort of sleepy killer, I would sum it up as. It
Oh,
starts
yeah.
off pretty flat, couple of sprint stages, and then it just has three absolute punchy climbs, one after the other, with almost no time to recover. So, how have you found racing this course?
Well, this is one of my favourite courses just because of that. Um, there's so much variety. And I reckoned it this morning just to go back over how it is again. And the first 10, 15 kilometers, or the first 10 kilometers is really, really flat and sort of gets you into a false sense of security of it being a relatively easy course. And once you hit those three climbs, they come in such quick succession, and they're only anywhere from a minute and a half, from 30 seconds to a minute and a half for the first two ones. And then the final climb is basically 1K to the finish line, and that's a real drag. And it turns into from a flat race to a really, really technical, a really, really difficult race. You have to pace well and hit those climbs with enough energy to be able to sprint for the finish. So, this is one of the best courses for that sort of fair racing for everybody, I
Yeah, I
think.
mean, I
Excuse me.
know, having raced it a few times, I mean, it's not a course that suits my strengths, that's for sure. It's those punchy climbs. I mean, you've got for that Libby Hill one, I mean, I think it's 600 meters. It's around an average grade of 6%, but I
Mm.
mean, I think you're going to have to hold 6 to 7 watts a kg if you're going to pull away from the pack today. And it's an interesting format, like you said in the beginning, because I mean, give away a few secrets here. I told my athletes, catch up as quick as you can to the group in front, settle in, recover, and then wait for the group behind to catch up and then just jump on their drag. But those riders will be stronger up the hills, so they might see a few explosions going up there as people just push way above their limits to stay on to their pack.
Yeah, and it's going to be, if you can push over the top and you're with those riders, it's a great help. But if you're smart and if you know how to ride the downhills well and aero tuck and use that momentum on the next climbs, you can actually pull yourself back into the group again. So, it's not over if you have been dropped on those climbs.
Exactly. So let's have a look at these. Based off last week's results, let's have a look at the riders to watch. I'll talk a bit about Jane. She came through and took out the scratch race last weekend. You can see there her Zwift profile, age 60. So gunning it for that older veteran age group. She'll hate me saying that. And, she's quite a petite rider. You can see there in the picture, she's only 151 centimetres, pretty light. This hilly course will suit her. She's got the power,
Mm.
but she doesn't have much body weight to push up those hills. Then you've got Yarrow, reclined there on the cliff top on a beautiful walk is his picture. 44, 175 centimetres, but you can see there again, he's a very compact. He's more of an ultra runner, so he's
Right.
got lightness on his side.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a big help. But with it being a uphill finish, the lighter riders do need to be will come to the fore there. But it's whether or not they've been gapped on that long descent as you come off the flat section before you drop down to the Libby Hill climb. That's going to be the important part. Really tactical.
So tell us a bit about Mark and Bex.
So both of them are professional athletes, professional Ironman athletes. He's won a few time trial races in Zwift recently, and he's just getting stronger and stronger, and his race tactics are getting better and better. He came through for the win last week, the fastest time last week in the individual time trial. He's got some strong riders with him, so those two guys, if they can jump up that 2 minutes to the group ahead, then that's going to be a really, really strong group. And Rebecca, again, she's relatively new to the Zwift racing. She's developing her skills there as well. She's a member of the Cryogen team, but she's a super powerful athlete. But she's also got a ton of skills in racing, where she's sort of developed over the Try and Z series, where she's able to where she's learned how to ride on the wheels and use those courses to her advantage, and use the tactics in the hills and the descents, etc.
Awesome.
So yeah, those two are going to be top athletes to come through.
Yeah, definitely. Well, how about we cut over to the racing? They've been going for about 7 minutes now. So we're here following Cherie Scott, and she started off in group number 1. So looks like they have not stayed together as a group. We had in that group Jeannie Rogers, Tracy, Sinead, and Cherie, and that has blown apart. Looks like Tracy has just booted it off the front and has got about 25 seconds on Jeannie. And then Sinead is behind Jeannie by about 30 seconds. So that group has not stayed together whatsoever.
Yeah, now that's going to be, that could be a good or a bad thing. An individual rider is always going to be pushing on their own wind. And, riders coming from behind in a group, and if they pick up those riders that have been dropped and they form that group again, then that individual rider at the front does risk getting caught. So tough call to make, but it could be one that pays off.
Yeah, it could be. I'll flick up and have a look if we can see the stats on Tracy. I know her quite well. I used to coach her a while back, and she plays a pretty low-key game, but I know that she is a very tough competitor, and I think she's actually got her son out here today as well. So they'll be probably Zwifting together next to each other up in their place in Riverhead. So she's actually looking pretty comfortable. She's riding a very slow cadence, around 67 RPM, but I have seen a bit of chit-chat on the Zwift forums that actually the best way to get the power numbers on Zwift is just to ride a really low cadence. So she's looked at those herself, and she's following that tactic.
Yeah, well, that's one way to look at it. But then as soon as you hit a hill, and you don't go into it with the flywheel turning over very quickly, that can really bog you down. So yeah, maybe on the flats that sort of cadence is better, but we'll see what happens when the hills come.
Exactly, and we can see here Jeannie Rogers, she's just got Tracy in her sights, and she has pulled ahead of both Sinead and Cherie. So we'll look at group 2 here on the road. So that had Jane Powell, Jess Ryan, and Anna Lorimer. Anna Lorimer, that's a name I have not seen in a while.
Yeah, she's had a serious back injury for the last almost a year. So she's only just started cycling in the last couple of weeks. So
that's fantastic. I used to love racing with Anna. That's great that she's getting back out there on the bike.
Yeah, this will be her longest ride, I think, and she has strict instructions from me to not finish if she feels any back pain. So this is just a really nice. She's really looking forward to getting out and just having a go at this, seeing how it goes. So she's not expecting anything, and she's just going to have a good time.
Oh, that's awesome. Fantastic. She's riding I've actually never seen this bike on Zwift before. She's got this absolutely slammed stem on a willier, it looks like. So good work, Anna. She's kitted herself out nicely.
Well, she's an aero. She knows her aero. She knows what to do there.
So we'll go back a little bit further. We've got group number 3 on the road is Warwick, Mia, and they are riding together. So it looks like is it Mia? So Mia's a young rider. I think she's only about 17, and she's doing this pretty smart. She's just jumped in on Warwick's draft, and if I was her, I would just sit there on the draft and wait for that group behind to catch up, which it looks like they might be. That's a big group number 4. That's got Shay Lightwood, Sarah O'Grady, Sophie, Neville, David, Gary, and Hamish. So they're playing it pretty well here.
Yeah, they look like they're riding together as a group. Some of them, which is good. Yeah, I can see that Sophie and Neville and Gary are all together. Dave's there as well, so and Hamish. So it's good. It's good to see. This is what we want to see happen.
I wonder if Warwick and Mia both part of North Harbour Tri. Mia has moved into the front, so she is going to do a little bit of work, and they can just see, just rounding that monument up there is Alexa, also from North Harbour, so there's a little bit of an in battle here in group number 3, and Alexa has been riding very well. She set a little FTP last week in the race, so she'll be feeling pretty confident. She's only 15 seconds up. Again, probably better to have stayed in the draft, but we'll see if this little group of 2 could catch her. So we'll head back to, let's have a look at Sophie Lysart here. How do you say that?
Lysart.
Lysart. I always put the G in there. Yeah. Lysart. Got it. And she's riding quite well. So she's got, is it Neil Modlin with her?
Yep, Neville.
Oh, yep. Neville, Neville.
And I'm not sure what's going to happen with the household here, but Sophie and Tom were having a battle on, but I just saw a message come up that Tom may not have been able to join the event. So that's whether or not he pulled out for nerves, I'm not sure. But,
probably.
It seems like a good excuse. My Wi-Fi is not connecting me, so Sophie's going to have a crack here, and she's got some good riders with her. Sarah O'Grady, she's in the Cryogen team. She's very, very experienced. She's got looks like she's riding a Chapter 2.
Oh, nice!
On there, which is a nice bike, nice boutique bike there. So that's going to make a difference. And that group of 4, if they sit together, they can pull those riders in ahead.
Oh, they are, and they are humming along. So they've got you can just see their speed is great, and they probably will pull in that group of Mia and Warwick just because there's only 2 of them. There's a lot more work they've got to put in. I mean, as we said in the run up to this race, the course, it starts off very flat. If you're watching, you can see at the top right hand corner there's a map, and all the riders are on this sort of long flat, and then they go into a big downhill, a bit more flat, and then they hit those 3 climbs. And to be honest, that's where we're going to see some breakups in these groups and people catching other people and a bit more of the fireworks.
Yeah, it's been interesting listening to or watching the chat among the various groups online through both the Zwift game and through Facebook messaging, and seeing the tactics that are coming through, and it's getting quite competitive, and but there were some concerns about the handicaps being too long, but I actually think that these handicaps are still going to work. I still think we're going to see a big group coming to the finish line together. It's going to be interesting.
And it does look from this group that Hamish Ross and David Bullen have been dropped from Group 4. So they were the riders you could just see in the background there as we panned around. So they've been dropped, unfortunately. It's always key with Zwift that you absolutely do everything you can to stay with the group. The draft effect is enormous. And, whether you just have to push beyond all limits to just get on that group, it's absolutely worth it.
Yeah. It's a horrible feeling knowing that you're at your limit, but you're actually going a lot faster than you would be if you're on your own. And it's so hard to push the power out when you're on your own as well. There's no incentive. There's no one just in front of you to keep pushing on. So
exactly. And there's nothing more demoralizing than when you've lost that lead pack and then you look and they're only holding, around a 3.2 watts. So it really is only a big effort just to stay on. So we'll
that happened to me this morning in a race, Anna.
Oh, no.
And I looked at the results at the finish, and we all had the same watt per kilos at the finish line. But yet I was just gapped off a second over the top of a climb, and then it was all over.
Oh, it's devastating. I mean, it's the one part of I've been working on with my own training in Zwift is just being able to push, a 6 or 7 watt, but just for 15 to 30 seconds, and makes all the difference.
Yeah, so it's a real skill. It's real art.
Yeah. So we've got Gareth Holbrook here. So he started in Group 5 with Chris W., who was one of the standout performances last week, actually. He did really well. I think he might have set a new FTP as well. And he's with our big rugby player, Alex Waite, Matt Fussell, Rob Beck, Tom, who you said may have had Wi-Fi issues, and Steve Kovacic and Scotty Yang. So another big group, but they are not working together, which I'm surprised about. So Gareth has decided to go off the front on his own with Chris just behind, but it looks like he is going to get caught by Chris and Alex Waite catching him. Scotty Yan
Scotty's a pretty experienced athlete as well. I think he'll know what to do here, and he
looks like
looks like he's just pulled into that group again.
yeah, looks like he's on the Tron bike, the yellow Tron bike. So he obviously knows what
Yeah.
he's doing.
Well, Scotty's got every bike in the garage. He's a bit of a dark horse, old Scotty. I didn't realise he was riding Zwift so much. I'm his coach, and I didn't even know this. And I suddenly realised that he's got every bike and every helmet and every wheel in game.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, he knows a thing or two about this game.
So you can just see here that Alex and Chris have caught on to Gareth, and now they've got a nice little group of three, and we're just seeing they've really got to work. Scotty is still, you can just see him off the back there, so he's only 1 to 2 seconds back. He's really got to catch up.
Yeah, and Rob Beck needs to push up as well. He's only 6 seconds down, and it's just a matter of going 15 seconds really hard just to get on the back of that group. And Rob's a strong rider, so he should be able to get up to them. Just whether they can do it before they hit the climbs, that's the hard thing.
And we'll go. Looks unfortunately like Matt Fussell has had a technical mechanical, so he is just sitting on the side of the road, not moving. So he's obviously out of that group.
That's got a flat tire.
Here we go. We're looking at Grant Buckingham here, M. Brook, born again triathlete.
Oh, Matt Brook. Yep. So he might have gone a bit early. Is he on the road already?
He's riding along in group.
Looks like he's gone in the group ahead.
Uh-oh.
Interesting.
Might be a little bit of a DQ there, and I can just see Britt Lytton coming into frame there. So Britt was a massive rider in the Try and Z League back over in lockdown number 1, and she, I mean, I've got to say, she might be my dark horse pick for today. I can just see her. She's been passed by these guys, and she is hauled ass to get back up on wheel. So she races on Zwift a lot, like a few of these riders, part of the Cryogen esport team. She's pretty handy with getting those watts out. We'll see how she goes on the hills. I know she doesn't particularly like them, but on these flats, she can put out power with the best of them.
Yeah, she's really experienced. She does a lot of racing, and she talks herself into not being favoured on the hills. But I actually think that she's a strong enough rider and these hills are short enough that she can actually get up them, putting out those watts, drag over the top, and then really work those downhills. So I think Britt's a real force to be reckoned with here, and they'll get up to. I think they'll catch up to that group ahead of them. It's only a couple of minutes, and I think as we get through this race, it's going to close up a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the course, I actually think it's more the person who can put out the best 1 minute power does well on this course, because it's really just getting up out of the saddle and driving the pedals. It's not sort of one of those climbs like Epic Climb or Mont Ventoux where you just got to settle into a really, hardcore watts per kg for hours and hours. It's just 1 minute of pain, and a lot of the time people like Britt, who has that great power output, can just get away, and you kind of almost forget it's a hill by the time you've got to the top.
Yeah, just don't look at the screen.
Yeah, exactly.
There are a couple of points on that Libby Hill where it turns around so steep, and it's almost at 20% that you feel like you're standing still, but you just got to remember that so is everybody else. So it's just a difficult part of the course, but it's over pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. So let's have a look. We'll head back. It looks like we've got Pete Cater out on course now. He's we've got Yarrow here, who was the male winner last week, and he's gone out. What group was he in? It looks like he was in group 7.
He was with he's group 7, yeah.
And that's they've got a big group together. So they're riding. Looks like Yarrow, Pete Cater, Cam Brown.
The other Cam Brown,
Damo, and Wendy Gallagher. Another standout performance last week was Wendy Gallagher in the pink. So they've got a nice a group running along
Gallagher.
Wendy?
Fiona.
Why do I think it was Wendy? Fiona Gallagher. So they're running along very well. They've got a big group together. You see, though, from my timings, it looks like Cam Brown has made it onto the back of that group. It's saying to me it's 5 seconds off, but I think I see him just there hanging off to the back of this group. Riding pretty smart, just not even getting his front tire out in the wind at all.
Yeah, it's again he's a funny little one. You never see Cam much until he turns up to a race, and he's done a heap of training, so he could be racing this one quite smart. It's going to be interesting. We're just about to see the start of the faster, the last couple of groups now. So everybody will be out on course in a couple of minutes. And yeah, it's going to get really interesting. Really
Yeah, well, we
interesting,
can
very
see
soon.
those earlier groups are about to hit Libby Hill, so we might just make our way forward through the
Yeah,
field and see what
check
happens
it out.
when those first groups hit the climb. Maybe a bit of a prelude of what's in store for the riders behind them. So we can see here Tracy Boss, who was our lead rider out on the road. She's still solo. She's got a 38-second lead on Jeannie Rogers, 50 seconds on Jess Ryan, who has picked up Sinead. So Jess is having a blinder out there. She started in Group 2, but she's picked up Sinead, who was 3 minutes ahead of her. So great work, Jess. I know that she's become, like a lot of us, addicted to Zwift racing and has gone out there quite a lot. So very interesting here from Jess. She is not on a smart trainer though, so she will not feel these hills as the others do. So might be a touch of an advantage to her. She won't have that torque through the pedals, but we'll see how she goes coming up against Tracy.
Interesting. Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting, this one.
Tracy has just hit the base of the climb. She's just gone over those little red lines.
Right. Well, let's see how she goes up there. It looks like Jenny has just moved ahead of Jess a little bit there. But yeah, the groups behind are closing up. Anna, Jane, Cherie, Sinead, they're all going to be together at some stage soon, probably just at the bottom of that hill. So it's
Yeah,
going to be
we
interesting
can
to see how
see
they
here,
go there.
yep, Jess has just made the pass on Jeannie and she is now at the base of the climb, catching up. She's around 3.7 watts a kg. Tracy just sitting around 2.8, so that will probably be a pass within the next 10 minutes, I would say. And you can see already, like you said, Anna Lorimer, Jane Powell, that group is catching pretty quick. And then you've got the group behind, which is still working pretty well together with Warwick and Mia, and then you've got that big group behind with, I think, is it Neville
Oh,
and
Sophie, no,
Gary and
Sophie and
Sophie? Yes, so a group of 4 of
Neville,
them.
yeah, yeah. So they're working really well together. Actually, they've put a minute on the riders that started off with them in that and from that group. So that's interesting.
So Sarah O'Grady and Sophie Lysart. What's the? Is there a bit of a mano a mano battle going on here?
Yeah, there might be. Yeah, they're pretty evenly matched. I know in the Try and Z races they were pretty closely matched, and actually Sophie had a really rapid rise up through the Zwift racing just from that series. So I was amazed at how quickly she sort of took to it. It's going to be a tough one. I know Sarah's got probably got the hill climbing on her, and Sophie's probably a little bit better on the flat. So it's going to be how efficient they are working on this course, and if they're prepared to all put it in the work evenly right up to the finish.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a good job of that at the moment. I'm pretty impressed. It's they're each taking little turns on the front, very short turns, which is, as we know from the team time trials, it's sort of, you want shorter turns but with lots of power, and that
Yeah,
seems to be what they're doing. You've got Neville just moving out to the front now. So they're working extremely well, and I'm not surprised that they've pulled in over a minute on the group in front. I mean, they're chasing pretty quick on Hamish, who's only 30 seconds up the road. So once they see him in their sights, that's could be game over for that group ahead of them.
yeah. Well, they're actually and they're on that descent now where they're sort of going 60k an hour. It's not quite aero tuck territory, but it's that speed, but it's just not quite steep enough. So the fact they're still just moving on, pedaling through, keeping that speed high is really good. It's really efficient.
Yeah, we
Everybody's out
might.
on course now, so we've got the last group have headed out, so it's all on to the finish line.
Oh, fantastic. Great. So we might follow this crew just until they hit the climb, and then we'll move backwards through the field and see each group as they hit that first Libby Hill climb. So it goes Libby Hill, then we've got 23rd Street, and then
23rd
it's
Street, yeah.
the big grind to the finish line. So I think is it 23rd Street, right? I think that's where Peter Sagan made his move in the 2015 World
That's
Champs to take out the race.
that's where he attacked, and it was actually watching his descending coming off that 23rd Street climb was just incredible. I remember watching it on TV, and it was the first time I'd actually seen someone go into an aero tuck and was descending, going around corners, sitting on the top tube, and I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was the way that he had to win that race. He's not suited to the hilly course. He didn't want to go to the finish line with the sprinters. He just had to get away in a classic style race.
Yeah, and the only time I've seen a breakaway like that on Zwift was actually Lionel Sanders, maybe a couple of months ago. Yeah, in the Z Pro Tri Series, I think it was, and he just put in a huge effort and finished solo. So that's you don't often see that in Zwift. So we'll see what this crew can do today. I mean, there's no power ups, so there's no advantage to anyone else over anyone. So it really is just about. If it was me, I would probably continue to stay in a group draft for as long as possible, and then make some attacks. Probably lap 2 on Libby Hill and just try and hold out.
Yeah, and now I just saw some messaging come through. So the last group that are on the road, Mark, Nate, and Jason Schumann. So Mark just said that they want to be working at 5 to 5.5 watts kilo on the front, and if the three guys are consistent doing that, then they're just going to gobble this time up.
Wow,
that's impressive.
Yeah, I do like this format. I do like that it's all working together. So I don't know much about Nate or Jason, but are they? I mean, they're not as strong as Mark, but how are they going to go pulling those kind of watts on the front?
Well, Jason's got he's got the course record at Ironman New Zealand for his age group overall and on the bike. So he's a 440, sub 440 Ironman bike rider, and he goes 850, mid 850s for an Ironman race. So he's an amazing athlete. And Nate he's a cryogen athlete. He's 100 kilos. He's got a 415 watt threshold. He's just an absolute powerhouse, and he's just a big, strong rider. And you can see his avatar. He's just enormous. He's great to draft off. And the good thing is he just loves this racing. He just lives for Zwift racing. He's fantastic. So, those three guys together are going to be very, very strong, very impressive.
And they've only got 2 seconds on the crew in front of them. So that's they're going to catch that group in front pretty quickly. And in that group, we've got Hamish Robertson, who last week set a new FTP based on that time trial course. So he's in good form, as is Eakin Bruce, who's only another 2 seconds ahead of them. So we've got some strong riders who I think might end up pulling a bit of a bigger pack together.
Yeah, I think, and this is exactly what we wanted to see happen. We wanted to know that these riders were going to pull together and make that strong group. I'm just looking at them now, and you can see that Mark's got the green jersey on. He's running the 808s, or he has gone for the 808 wheels, and he's gone for a lighter frame. So he's looking for the lightweight of the frame, but the aerodynamics of the wheels. And Nate's running the S-Works Shiv by the looks of it. Oh, sorry, the S-Works Spenge. Oh no, he might be on the SL7. Yeah, he likes his new bikes, so he's on the SL7.
Nice.
And Jason's running a. Looks like he's on a. Jason might have gone for a climbing frame as well. Interesting. Okay, good. No, Jason's on SL7 as well. SWX 7.
So we do have this first group. We've had a few solo riders hit the climbs, but now I've got our first group hitting there. So we've got Neville, Sarah O'Grady, and Sophie. And also our Walden hitting this climb. So they've just gone over that red line on the road. And this is Libby Hill for the first group out in today for our round 2 of the COVID Classic. Jess Ryan has set the fastest time thus far, 2 minutes 11, with Warwick Jones just behind and Mia Thomas third on the road. So let's see what times you guys can put out. We're watching Neville now. He's up into 319 watts, 81 to 82 RPM, so it's climbing pretty quick. We're at 8%. Flattens out a little, and then, like you said, Robert, really keys up into that 14, 15, 16% right up to the finish line. Oh, the banner, not the finish line. I wish finish line.
It looks like Sarah's just setting the tempo on this early part of the climb as well. So, she does like her climbing, so this is going to work quite well. She's at 4 watts kilo.
She has created a little gap there
She has, yeah.
on the riders behind. So they are just falling behind. You can see Sophie has now moved her way to the front and she's trying to reel that in because Sarah is really kicking up. I mean, I'm not sure if her heart rate's quite right. It's 50 beats per minute. That's pretty low. Resting heart rate up this climb. So
That might not be right. It
and
looks
looks.
like, yeah, and she's actually pushing up quite some pretty high watts coming up here. So that's going to be something to keep in mind for the finish. You know, is this something that she's got in her back pocket? Has she got that climbing? You know, we did talk about that, and I sort of said the climbs are the key points in this race, but I wouldn't want to be dropping off riders too early unless they really aren't doing their turns and not able to maintain that strong effort. So Sophie's just pushed through to the head of Sarah there.
Yeah, and they've both dropped the guys behind them. So obviously that shows that weight advantage. Those guys are a bit heavier, but they'll probably catch pretty easy on the downhill, just being those heavier riders. So I don't think it's too bad they've pulled ahead right now, but it is an indication that they might be the strategy they'll use on the second lap to get away.
Girls are definitely throwing down. It's good to see.
So you can just see them with the banner there. We'll see how their times compared to Jess, who are currently ranked number 1 on that climb. And they have taken that out. So they're at 2 minutes 6.
Quite a bit, yeah.
Up that climb. That is very impressive. We'll see what the guys did behind them.
23rd Street. So it looks like, it looks like Mia Thomas was fast up 23rd Street, 10 seconds quicker than Jess. So she's flowing up that segment as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Mia's, she's 17. She's very, very light. So she'll have that weight advantage up the climb and the young legs of a 17-year-old.
Yeah. Oh, to be like that again,
eh? We've just moved back to the other big group on the road, which is just about to hit the hairpin before they go into the climb. This is a group I'll be interested in. You've got Chris W., Scotty Yang, Gareth Holbrook, Steve Kovacic, and Beck. Rob Beck here as well.
Rob Beck, yeah. So, we've got that's a big group, If they can stay together, again, it's safety in numbers, and you just have to make sure that if you are going to drop someone, it's only because they haven't been able to maintain that pace. But you don't want to be dropping someone who's been riding well on the flats.
It's I know that Chris, just looking at his avatar, may not be the strongest one up the climb, but he's going to descend like an absolute torpedo. So he just may give up a bit of power on the climb, but it's also you also don't want to show your hand too early.
He's got some big calves on him.
He sure does. I mean, if I look at the strategy I'd employ today, I'd almost fake it up this first lot of climbs. Just sort of sit there at the back of the group. Don't get dropped, but don't show my cards too early either. And then just let all hell break loose on those last climbs in the second lap.
Well, the tactic is to look at the others around you and what's per kilo they're pushing and just make sure you're consistent with them. But, it's so hard to remember these things, when you're in game and everything's happening. And at the end of it, you think, I should have done this, should have done that, etc.
Do you know what? I've just seen someone drop a power up. So I think because we're in race mode in the meetup, we do actually have power ups, which is awesome. I've just seen Chris W. Dropping a feather power up in the early stages of this climb with Gareth behind him dropping a draft power up. So that has completely changed the strategies for today. That's awesome. I didn't know that you could have power ups in a meetup. So obviously with race mode, you can do that. So that's going to really, really spice things up today. Yeah,
although he dropped it at the wrong point. He probably should have dropped it when he got to the hairpin.
Exactly.
That's right.
But he has made a little bit of a break here, the two of them out the front. So looks like Chris W. and Scotty Yang, I think, together with a lot of feathers being dropped behind them. So, I mean...
Those guys are rallying behind.
They are. I think, good advice I got on Zwift is always use a power up if you're getting dropped and just get back on that wheel. So that was Alex Waite, our big rugby player, who dropped a feather, and he's now back on terms with Scotty Yang.
Yeah, and they're just coming around this hairpin. I think those other guys will get back in on the descent because they're big enough guys that they should be able to pull back in again. But Scotty's a good little bike racer. He's really impressive at the way he's putting out the power at the moment.
And he has pulled ahead again. So, I mean, he's on a great bike setup, but Chris is holding strong, stronger than I thought he might have. So they may have actually just gapped the field a little bit there. So I've just changed the camera angle. You can see Alex and Gareth working together, and I think that is uh, Rob Beck has just
Rob Beck.
very much dropped off the pace of that group, and he
Yeah,
may
he
actually
does
get
struggle on the
dropped
hills a
there if
bit.
he's not careful.
Yeah, he does struggle on the hills a bit. So Scotty went over that climb at 151, so he's 15 seconds ahead of the girls.
Yeah, that's
Um,
that's a pretty decent time,
yeah,
151.
it's coming down. It's coming down steadily.
So yeah, you can just see there Steve Kovacic has he's the one who's just been gapped off the back, and that might be a bit tricky to come back from. So hopefully he can get on there, and we'll follow this next group, which has whittled down to Grant, Britt Lytton, and who's your born again triathlete?
Yeah, Matt Brook. Yeah, he might have. Yeah, I still think Matt's gone early because he's not actually in that group, and I don't think he would have ridden ahead of the group that he was meant to start with. So there may have been some confusion there off the line, unfortunately.
I've got to say I'm pretty interested to see how Britt performs here. She's got Grant just ahead of them. I don't know how are they pulling into the group in front. How they're only about 2.5 minutes behind the Steve Kovacic group.
Yes, yeah, I think those guys will come through again because there's a few of them. I know Matt's a strong rider. I know Britt's a strong rider. Although they have split up a little bit on this climb, which is interesting.
Yeah, Britt's actually powering off the front around 4 watts a kg with Grant just chasing behind her. Grant, little fun fact, is actually the uncle of Mia, and I know they always have some little battles and side bets going on.
Yeah,
So he'll be
interesting.
wanting to chase Mia down as quick as possible, but he has lost the wheel of Britt and looks.
Now, what I'm seeing behind is going to be interesting because at a minute down, we've got some strong riders. We've got Fiona, Chris Dunn, Damon Clark, Matt Van der Vliet. And those guys they'll be working together well and trying to move up onto Brit. I know that Matt and Brit were having a few jokes with each other about working together when Matt catches them. So that's
Nice.
certainly a part of the tactics. And that is a big group that's behind them. So I think over the next probably the next quarter of the lap through these next couple of climbs, we'll see those groups close up a lot more.
Yeah, for sure. So we've just seen these two at the front working quite well together, Grant and Britt. I'll be interested to see what their times are. They're just about to
Yeah.
go through that KOM arch, and it'll pop up on the left side of the screen what their times were. So I'm not sure if it was a faster time than the group ahead.
No, quite a bit slower.
Yeah, there we go.
So,
So
so
looks
Scotty's still the
like.
quickest up there.
Yeah, it looks like about 6 seconds off the pace of the fastest, but Britt is now, I believe, the fastest female up that course, and she's dropped an aero power up. Now
She might be
that's,
feeling it a bit.
yeah, I'm going to say that means she's hurting to
Yeah.
stay on. It's a very, I wouldn't probably have personally not dropped an aero power up then because there's only one other person in front of you and
Yeah.
you've got the downhill. So I probably would have saved that one, but,
I
you
think
know,
it was probably that tactic that you mentioned earlier. If you're getting dropped, you better use it.
and her heart rate is around 176, so she's obviously hurting. So let's head back to that big group you mentioned. They're on the climb now. So we're
Yeah.
watching Pete Kadar with Fiona Gallagher just in a group there. And someone's just gone a little bit off the front. That's Damo.
Yeah, Damon does a lot of bike riding, but he doesn't do a lot of Zwift racing. So he's very, very strong. I know him well, and I know what he can do on a bike. And yeah, I always get 6 watts a kilo to come over the top of this climb.
Wow. That might be the
He's a
quickest climb time for
148.
today.
Yeah,
148.
he's got a lot
Wow.
quicker than Scotty. That Damon will be happy with that. I know he and Scotty have some great rivalries together. So
And they
it's a bit
have
of a
dropped Yarrow, our male champion from last week, and Van der Vliet off that
yeah.
group.
And look at Fiona; she's still there. So Fiona's still the one that I think is a real dark horse in this race.
Yeah, she's performing extremely well.
Yeah.
We
So Matt won't be. Well, Matt did whinge to me earlier about his handicap because he does weigh 86.5 kegs, and he was saying it's not fair on the hills. But I think he's a strong enough rider that he'll get back on the flat.
We've just got God, there's just groups everywhere. So there's another group that's just coming up to the last parts of this climb. We've got Eek and Bruce. Another cryogen rider. I just can't quite see their last name. Elder, is it
Yeah,
Neil Elder?
Neil
Sayer.
Alder. Yeah, so Neil. Yeah, so we've got Neil is in my in real life race team actually, the Bensco BSR Cat 3 team, and for the Dynamo series. And Neil's a great handy bike rider. Again, he's someone who does a lot of racing on Zwift. He's a family man. He does a lot of early morning miles, and be interesting to see what bike he's on, because Neil's actually my go-to man when I was coming up through the racing to try and figure out what was the best bike and wheel combination for certain
Oh,
courses.
nice.
Now Neil's gone for the Tron bike, so he would have done a bit of thinking about that one.
And we've got a group dropping power ups left, right, and centre, following Matt Boss along with Tong here and Manchester, I think it is. And
Yeah,
they are doing, they've just all three of them dropped arrows and desperately trying to get back onto the wheel.
they're, they're all
Of
at ones and twos. They need to come back together.
Yeah, they are. They'll be panicking because they're now about 4 seconds back, and that's getting into that danger zone of just not catching up. But they're approaching another hill. But we'll head back and have a look at. Got another group on the road here with Hamish Robertson Bees.
I just see Damon's gone over 23rd Street with the fastest time again, so he's
Oh wow,
definitely the
he's on
fastest
form.
climber in the race. Yeah,
And let's have a look. We've got Nate Fulcher and Mark Balstead, and they're just dropping someone off the back. He looks like Schumann has
so
dropped
Jason's
off.
been dropped. Is he actually? Jason's having some technical issues. He's just stopped.
Oh, it's completely stopped. So we're
Oh,
following.
foot down. That's no good.
Oh.
So Nate and Mark are hitting this climb. So let's see how they go over this climb, because that's going to be our standard for the fastest on the road, I'd say.
Now we've just seen a comment come
Um,
through from Joe Sutherland. So he's putting his money on Fiona. He said that her power to
ah,
weight ratio is going to put her in the mix, and he can't hold on to her wheel when she's climbing.
yeah. So he mentioned her last week as well. He obviously knows her well. So yeah, I agree. She's super strong, and it just looks like Mark's pulled away from Nate up here.
He has.
Um,
So obviously Mark's just a little bit probably going to be too strong on these hills for Nate, and this is
yeah,
where I think the group dynamic's going to be playing a big role, because if they're just solo and they're chasing a group in front of 6 or 7, that group is going to pull ahead.
the thing is with Mark, we know he can put 5 watts kilo down for 30 minutes, no problems.
We
But
can see Nate there dropping the feather, so he's desperately trying to get on the wheel.
yeah,
He's dropped it at a good time, just when it hits at a 12%,
yep,
17% up that hairpin, and he has caught on. So
he's
perfect
smart.
power up timing there, Nate. That shows just someone who knows their Zwift racing.
Yep, he's definitely experienced with that. So that's fantastic. Let's see what they go over with. So 132 is the fastest time. Tom Burgess, Cryogen rider. So he's flying, and 125, 126 from Nate and Mark. So Nate actually had the quickest time up there from courtesy of that power up.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's how the game's played.
And I see they're about to
I'm
catch
stoked.
up to Dave Metcalf, who
Yeah.
he did actually send me a message that he's been unwell for the past two
Okay.
weeks, and so
That's acceptable.
that's acceptable. He will end up
Yeah.
getting caught by these two, and I'm not sure he'll be able to hold on to their wheel. I'm seeing a lot of chit chat going on while people are racing. Bex
It looks
Clark is
like it.
wanting
Yeah.
people to regroup. I see Britt Lytton messaging something, so there's a lot of smack talk and chit chatter going on as well.
I never have time to type when I'm racing. It's actually good though, because Devon's talking about being steady on the hills, and that's exactly it. It's nice to think you can just push away. But if you're steady on the hills and you just keep it together, keep it smart, then it makes the race so much more even.
And I'm just following Neil Miller here. So he was in Group 8, but he is absolutely on his own. There's someone 40 seconds behind him and someone 20 seconds ahead. So he's just in no
Mm,
man's land. So he's going to have to wait
mm,
for those guys behind to catch up.
yeah. So Brittany's just talking to Grant to sit up and wait for the group behind to come through. I think that's a good move. I really do. It's if you're not catching the groups ahead because it's what you're in ones and twos, you are better off just to sit and wait. And there's only Damon's only 2 seconds behind them.
Yeah.
Oh no,
And
he's
this,
30 seconds down.
yeah, I've just clicked here on Aaron McDonald, and that group has disintegrated. So there's Neil Elder, just like 14 seconds ahead, Cam Brown 16 seconds, and then just, each of them only about, 3 seconds between them all. So they're just, I think that might be the end of that group for Aaron McDonald. He looks like he has really dropped off the pace. I mean, I don't know when they're going to
Yeah.
get their next power up. They might have got it over that KOM on Libby Hill, but he needed to drop those feathers, and he's just getting caught here by Matt Boss. So Matt is the son of Tracy Boss, and they're also dragging up a few others with them. They've got Manchester. This is a big group now, and Eakin Bruce in his camo kit. So that's now a group of about 5 riders that are chasing down that group in front.
Yeah, this is good. This is what we want to see happen, and this is what I expected to happen was these groups pull together, pick up dribs and drabs, and the smart riders will see if they're getting caught, and they know they're getting caught quickly, that they will just conserve a little bit of energy, let them come through, and then just work very, very hard to get back on the back of the wheels again. And once you're back in that group, it's easy to stay there. But we can see Matt Boss is he's just at the front of this nice tidy little pack, and there's about 6 or 7 people in that. So that's the group to be in, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And Matt, I've raced him a couple of times on Zwift, and he knows how to lay down the power, but he also races smart. So he'll be one to watch, I think.
Absolutely.
Eakin Bruce, a ex-elite rower, he's just nicely sitting in the draft. You can barely see him in that camo kit that he's got rocking. He just gets a lot of grief from me about that kit. It's probably one of the worst looking kits on Zwift, but he's going to stay with it.
Yeah, it's working for him.
And they've just come through lap number 1. So it looks like our front riders will move back up to see what's happening at the front of the field.
So
and what
Stuart Sayer's got Stuart Sayer's got the fastest time through the course at the moment, 24 minutes. So how does that compare to what we had expected? It's going to be interesting.
And Jess Ryan has moved into the lead. So she's holding around 4 watts per kg, which is very fast. She's a very good rider. That's very high numbers. She's also, like I said, not on that power source. So she's a Z power rider today. So we'll just have to check those numbers a little bit later. We've got Tracy Boss now a whopping 3 minutes behind her. Warwick Jones, AL. Analorma, yep. So she's having a great one. So it looks like she's kept going. Hopefully her back's feeling good.
Yeah, nice little group there. It's good to see.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so they've picked up Mia and Warwick Jones and Jeannie Rogers. So the 4 of them are working well together. That's a good strategy there. Who's got that headband? I always like that might be Anna, isn't it? So they're riding really well. I'm just seeing if you can see riders in the background, because you've got Alexa chasing them down and Sarah O'Grady's group only 2 minutes back.
So Sarah, Gary, Sophie, and Neville have stayed together, which is what we thought might happen, because those 2 had pulled away on that climb a little bit. Interesting indeed.
I'll head back a bit further to Jane Powell, who was our winner from last week. She's on her own, unfortunately, so no women's land. Got Sinead about 20 seconds behind her, with that fast catching group of Alex and Scotty. Chasing pretty quick behind. So I think they'll get there pretty much after those next lot of hills. A lot of them are riding on the flats now, so they'll be able to pick up that pace. But if you look at that map on the top right corner, there are some big clusters of riders who've just come through at that lap arch, heading out on that long flat period around those Richmond cobbled roads.
Yeah, it's fairly dead riding through that section. It's just 0%, maybe 1%, and it just doesn't feel very nice. It's just hard to get into a rhythm. Now I'm just looking at. So Scotty Yang looks like where is he? Scotty has. Oh no, he is still with that group. I thought he might have pulled away. So he's with Chris W and Alex Waite.
Yeah, we're just following them now. So it looks like they were. I mean, maybe Scotty knew that Chris on the flats has got some pretty impressive power, as does Alex. I mean, Alex is I'd say he's like 6'7". He's a tall guy, so he can really lay down the power. And messaged me last week after the race with his new FTP numbers and said that he's super motivated. What races shall he do coming up this summer season? So this has been great for him. He's just been super stoked to keep with these guys and lay down some new numbers.
Well, that's good. Yeah, well, and I think this is working well for Scotty because he's a smaller guy with these big dudes. He can just really make the most of it. He does not look like that person on his avatar.
Um, yeah, I mean, if I was Scotty, yeah, I'd just stay with these guys all through the flats and then just, like he did on that first lap, pull away on the first climb. Be interesting to see what power-ups people have got, and then he potentially could just keep pulling ahead as the climbs keep going to the finish line.
Yeah. Now I see Damon has ridden up to Grant, Britt and Chris Dunn is just behind them. Actually, Fiona's been dropped. Was Fiona riding? No, Fiona was riding with Damon. So Fiona's not gone with Damon to get across that group. So that's been a crucial move, really. Fiona
Oh,
had
I
to be
see
with
there.
him.
Yeah, so that's you got Britt Lytton in that group, right? Grant.
Mm,
Right. Okay. And so Fiona's been dropped to 24 back with Pete Cader, which I think was in a faster group than her, so she might get swallowed up by that group if she can hold on to their wheels.
that's the move.
She
Yeah, that's the
could get
important
back
thing to
on.
do. Yeah, but now that I think with Damon knowing that he's riding really strong, if Britt stays with him, that's going to be a big advantage for her because I just think that he's moving so much quicker than those people he was started with that they in theory they shouldn't catch this group, and these guys, even though I think they'll catch Dave, I don't think Dave will keep up as they go through. So he's 30 seconds ahead. So these three are probably going to stay together. They'll ride through riders in front of them, but I don't think they'll pick anyone up who's going to be able to hang in.
And I did see a lot of chat from Britt around, what's to be holding, turns on the front. So
Yeah,
she's pulled rank here, and she's telling these guys what's up and what they need to do. So she's
yeah.
obviously knows her game and isn't afraid to take a leadership role in this small group of three.
No, and that's the best thing to do really because she is the most experienced racer. Um,
So
so
if
no,
we go
that's good for her to do that.
looking at this group, so it looks like the Eakin Bruce group, which has Manchester, Tong, Matt Boss. This is a big group. There's a lot of
Oh,
yellow and
this is
black in there. You've
huge.
got about 7 riders in this group, so that's going to be the one to watch. Matt Vandervliet. There's a lot of your
Yeah,
foot traffic riders in here.
Yaroslav's just ahead of them, so they might be pulling him in. Same with Neil Alder. Actually, this group are going to ride up
They're going to catch that
to.
group in front, which is about
Yeah, they
4.
will.
Yeah, so we
Yeah,
just got the camera angle here, so we might stay with this group and see this catch happen. I'd say this is probably the best performing group on the road at the moment.
yep. Now they started out. They've picked riders up. Some have dropped off because they weren't a full group when they started. So they've as they've ridden through people, they've held on to others and they've dropped some off. So this has been an interesting move from them.
And behind
Um,
them, they do have that Hamish Robertson, Aaron McDonald group. I mean, that group could catch them as well, but I don't know. I think this group is moving too quickly at the moment. They've got that pack dynamic that Zwift you get with that 6, 7, 8 plus riders. You start to get a massive pack dynamic effect.
yeah,
So if that group behind's only got 3, then I just don't think, even if they're pushing harder watts, I don't think they'll make it because
no.
it's really is about that draft. So you can see they've just rounded this monument. They're
So
about
they're coming up.
1 second back from the group in front.
Yeah, that's so we'll see this catch happen. So they're going to pick up some strong riders as well. So even though they've been caught, it doesn't mean they've been caught because they're weaker. Like you say, they've been caught because there's been a group behind them. So
Yeah, and it's not the fastest time on the course today. It's the first person across the line.
yeah,
So if I'd been Matt Boss or is it Michael Tong here sitting in that front group, I probably just would have eased back, waited for this catch, and now just got on.
yeah,
And you can
totally.
see exactly that happening. You've got Matt Boss out of the saddle. He was catching up there, and now this group has formed what I'd call almost a super group. There's
Yeah,
about
just doubled.
10 to 12 riders in this group now.
Yeah, and I can just see now, Matt Brook didn't accelerate, neither did Yaroslav. So that group came through. They just didn't react quick enough. So even though that group was moving faster, those two guys needed to put the power down to get back on those wheels as they came through and get that draft.
Yeah, look how
And
quickly they get
they've been
dropped. That just
yeah
shows,
they've been spat out the back.
yeah, just absolutely spat out the back. And now this group is just absolutely humming. So who's
Yeah,
the next group on the road? Got Aaron Bees here.
Alex Bees. Yeah,
Alex Bees, sorry.
yeah,
And Hamish Robertson, he's a great athlete. He'll be taking a lot of turns. He'll be highly motivated to catch that group in front, which It's 22 seconds. It's not that much. When they hit those hills, that 22 seconds will get gobbled up pretty quick.
Yeah, and again they've got Tom Burgess, who's a strong Cryogen rider with them. This is coming together quickly because Matt's only 7 seconds in front of them now, so he's got that group have gone through him. Matt may not have conserved energy on those climbs.
Yeah.
That might be the problem there. I'll have to talk to him about this in the post mortem because I think not being able to react to a group coming through is just a sign that he probably blew himself a bit early.
And I mean, I'm looking back in the field and I'm seeing Danger, which is the name of Mark Balstead.
My basic theory is
He's still got Nate on his wheel.
still got Nate, yeah.
Go Nate. He'll
Nate's
just hang in there as long as he can. But, Mark's dropping 5.8, 390 watts there. I mean, phenomenal. That's faster than anyone out there on the course, which you'd hope from a professional athlete.
Yep.
But can he make it? He's picking them off, but there's a bit of a gap up ahead, a minute 30, 2 minutes.
And this is interesting because Nate's about to catch his mate Dave Goodall, Cryogen teammates. There was a bit of chat going on between these two guys. So this is exciting. This is exciting to see happen.
And Nate's actually taking a turn on the front here, which is good to see. So they are working together. So maybe Nate's just taking some shorter turns and Mark's, taking the longer pulls on the front of the higher watts.
We need to thank Nate as well because he'll be live streaming this. He live streams all his races. So
fantastic. Great job, Nate.
Yeah. So that catch is going to happen. Neil, Dave, Aaron, I think you're going to get caught as well soon. But, if these guys can accelerate to catch that draft as it comes through and just dig deep enough, they'll get pulled back up to that group they've been dropped from. It can play into their hands.
Let's see. I can see Neil's gone up to 5 watts a kg, so he knows he's got to match the pace of those behind him.
He knows it's coming. Dave's doing the same. Come on, guys. This is how the race is done.
And I do see the riders on the road. We have had another group hitting Libby Hill, so we might make our way up back to that Libby Hill climb.
Check it out.
As we go through all these smaller groups on the road. We've got Alexa, who's just hit the climb now. It looks like Anna Lorimer she's actually just about to peak over that Libby Hill climb. She's just gone under the banner now with Alexa very close behind. So I'm not sure if Alexa was in group 3, so Alexa has caught Anna Lorimer.
She has.
Yep. And we've got
she's riding well.
Jeannie Rogers, who is in group 1, so she's getting caught by Anna. So Anna's caught Jeannie, and Mia Thomas, probably one of the best performing on the road at the moment because she started back in group 3 and she's made her way past some of those group 1 riders.
But if you look at Alexa's only 45 seconds down from Tracy, who's at the front, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 riders between that. So that's actually coming together as well. If Alexa can get up to Anna can get up to Jeannie, and so on, they could all come to the front together. Sarah and Sophie and Neville are going over Libby Hill.
Yeah, we're just
moment.
following Neville now with so they've still got over a minute to get to those ones on the front. So
yeah.
We'll see what happens there. Sarah Grady. So Sarah broken away from Sophie. No, Sophie's just behind her. So Sophie's looks like she's dropped that feather power up around that little hairpin, and maybe she's hurting a bit. So it could be Sarah's day today over Sophie.
Yep.
And I just saw
Sarah's
Neville
had a week off.
She's had a 1% gradient, so not the best time to drop that. Maybe that was a little accidental one. But this group of 4 has stayed together the whole race.
Yeah, Sarah's had a couple of weeks off just with some medical stuff, so this is good to see her back in it anyway.
Oh, it's
so she wasn't expecting she wasn't expecting to have a huge one.
And behind this crew, we've got the big units of Chris and Alex with the smaller unit of Scotty Yang.
Yep. Now, Scotty's, they've got a few minutes to the group in front. Seems the handicapper may have made some errors here with the front riders about to finish.
We do the best we can. The handicap racing's a little of a dark art to try and get right.
Yeah. The front riders will be finishing soon, and we've still got people that are dribbling in halfway through the field, through the lap.
And these guys are about to. I'm pretty sure Scotty will take his opportunity now and move ahead of this crew.
Yeah, I think he needs to. Yeah, he could ride off the front. There's only a few K to the finish from here. Let's see if he can take his previous time down. Right, Sarah and
the hard thing as well with the handicap racing is what I found last week is about 4 of my riders set new FTPs. So when you're basing it off current FTPs to figure out the handicaps, and people get very competitive and set some new FTPs, then the handicaps go out the window a little bit.
They do a bit, but that's all part of the fun.
Exactly.
In the end, it's a good workout.
Alex has
so Scotty's just dropped a
Scotty's dropped that feather. He's screaming past Chris, and they've dropped Alex. And I think that might be Alex gone, because I'm pretty sure if I was Scotty, I'd be attacking these and just using this now to pull away. But Chris is like glue. He just does not leave that back wheel, and he's
strong.
Yeah, he's a strong character. So he's the timing on the right looks a little bit off, but he is actually just on the wheel of Scotty. He's just got to hold on. He will catch you on the downhill, I think, on this, and Scotty might need to hold his reserves in and then hit that 23rd Street climb.
Yeah, and he'll be fully aero tuck going down there. But again, if Chris gets on to Scotty's got a big frame to be able to draft off there. Here he goes over the top. Let's see if he does a quicker time than before. He might do, actually, because he had that power up. No, it looks like he's gone 9 seconds quicker.
Oh, wow. Great job, Scotty. And he has
just like that.
He has gapped Chris, who I think will come back on, but Alex is gone burger. Alex has definitely dropped off that climb. And we'll head back. We've got Beck here with Holbrook. So they were in that group, and they've dropped off there. And we've got Britt Lytton here with Damo. So we'll follow this group. They're just taking that flat hairpin, heading towards the climb. They've got Grant Buckingham, Britt Lytton, and Damo all riding together pretty strong. But coming up quickly behind them, they do have Fiona Gallagher. I don't know if she's been ridden through by Britt or what the story is there, but she is.
She was with Damon off the start. So and she was the group behind. She was 2 groups behind, actually. So she was. Yeah,
so Fiona, I see, was pushing up some 5 watts a kg there. So they're obviously taking turns on the front, along with Pete Kadar and Dunn there. So they're moving in pretty quick on this group of 3. If this group splinters, then they might be in a bit of trouble.
Stuart Say is a good rider as well, another Cryogen rider. Chris Dunn's there. He's riding well, actually. He's doing very well. But just in the background, we can just see on the ticker that that group behind, they haven't caught up much time yet. Actually, they might go pretty well. They're only 11 seconds down on Fiona. That large group behind, I think, will come through.
And these guys are, Britt Lytton has just ridden through Steve Kovacic, and they've just been dropping feather power-ups, with Damo moving to the front of this group. So he's just gained a couple of seconds on Britt. We'll see what happens there. They've got Grant, who's holding on for dear life onto Damo. But I don't know. I think Damo, he was setting those fast times the first time through. I think he might just take this as his opportunity.
I think he'll get a new FTP from this race as well. I wouldn't be surprised, which is good to see. That's what we're having for.
He has gapped those riders behind. Steve has worked to hold on to Britt's wheel, but Damo has taken this opportunity, and he has pulled in around already 13 seconds on Britt. So she's dropping a bit there. Maybe she went too hard on lap 1 to stay with this crew. And Grant's only 5 seconds back. He might catch on the downhill, but Damo, you'd almost go like aggressive rider of the day. Absolutely attacking these climbs.
Yep. Although he hasn't got socks on, which I'm not.
Points off. But I do like his matching kit. But
but the kit doesn't match. The kit doesn't match the bike though. So he's got giant gear and a specialized bike. He should know better than
True.
that. He should know
He knows
better.
better. Sorry, Damo, you've had your award taken away. He's just ploughed through Jane Powell there, who we saw just finished the climb, and
He rode that climb very well as well. He went,
extremely well.
he's eighth quickest up there, so that's fantastic.
And here we go with one of these big groups behind. So following Bees here, Alex Bees has just come around the top with a big group of probably 4 or 5 behind him. Burgess and Hamish Robertson. So yeah, they've done well there actually. They might have actually ridden through.
Poor Brit got ridden through by them.
Yeah, she did. They just absolutely exploded
How
that
unkind!
race.
It was unfriendly of them.
Yeah. And Neil Alder. Wow. Okay. And
so
yeah,
Devon and Fiona
Brit's
got
dropping
dropped.
some drafting van power ups on the flat here. I think she's hurting. You know, her heart rate's 175. I think it's been like that for most of the race. So she might have just blown a few matches.
That it's come down to the hills at the end of that second lap, which is what we expected. And those who had conserved enough energy are coming through, and those who probably went a little bit too hard at the start are paying the price for it. So, that's the tough thing about this course.
Exactly. I have just seen that Mark Bousted has crossed over Libby Hill and he has dropped. He's ridden through that big group of riders and they've exploded. So
Wow.
Ekin, Pete, they're all dropped off him. Nate's now 15 seconds back from Mark. Cam Brown 30 seconds back. So Mark is driving through. He's just hitting this 12% downhill in the Super Tuck as he approaches the second climb. He's just picking off riders left, right, and centre.
He's showing his class,
I can see Ekin Bruce, Camo Ekin with the Mo has come through past him, so he's not giving up. He's realised if he can stay with Mark, he's got a good shot here. So
well, Mark's just gone to 8 watts kilo, so
and Ekin has just exploded off the back. So short-lived Ekin, but worth the fight. And you can just see here, a great camera angle of Mark just drilling through this entire field. He's just passed 4 riders in a second. So
yeah, he'll be loving it. There goes Fiona. See you later.
Yep.
He's
there's Sinead. So these are and he's just up to Matt Boss. So Matt was part of that big group that obviously just disintegrated on Libby Hill and went into 2s and 3s. So he's stuck on that little draft there, just over the flats. So smart riding.
Mark's just about to catch his athlete Devon. So there'll be some words.
There we go.
Actually, he's not passing him. He's just sitting on his wheel.
And they've just now they're on this big downhill, and then it's a big a drag to the finish line. So
yeah, 1K.
I'll be interested. Is he could catch this group that's you got the Hamish Robertson Beck group that's only 10 seconds, 15 seconds ahead of him. So is he going to be able to pass this group as well on the road? You can see from the camera angle there, we're just there's some riders chasing Hamish here. They're not too far behind. That will be Mark, who's caught up to a bunch of riders on that second climb. So whether he can catch this group here as he approaches this last pull to the finish.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it's a long drag. It's 1 kilometre long, and it's if your legs are smashed by now, it can take a long time. But like Mark's doing, he's just holding back a little bit by the looks of it. He's down to 3.5.
Yeah, he's stuck with this. He's riding with the group, so he's obviously just trying to get a bit of draft benefit. But he's moved to the front, so I think he'll be steeling himself for that last. He's up to 7 watts a kg again, so he can see those riders in front. He's got Grant Buckingham, who had been working very well in the Brit Lytton group, I think, and he's about to get caught. With the Bet group, and Damo 40 seconds ahead, so Damo's done well to even without socks, do pretty well in this race. And a lot of these riders have come together. So Damo's riding through Gareth Holbrook now, Burgess, Alder, Alex Bees. So he's had a great race. He's just riding through Burgess now on their final climb. This climb that just never seems to end. It's about 7% for the whole time.
I think Damon definitely got the more generous to the handicaps. Have to have to review that for next time. Obviously, we would have had the first people finish by now, but we haven't seen that on screen just because we've been focusing on the other ones. But we'll have the results coming up once this is finished, and we'll be able to see who actually won it.
I'm pretty sure Jess Ryan
yes.
pull ahead, although, caveat, not on a power source. So
we might have to asterisk that.
Might have to asterisk that and follow some Zada rules on that one. And we've got just looking at Gareth Holbrook here, and here we go. Bousted just looked like Gareth was standing still. It was amazing. I think Mark, just to add insult to injury, had dropped a feather. As if his own power wasn't enough, and he can see those riders in front, so he may put in a sprint here because he passed Robertson pretty quickly. He sees Burgess in his sights in the cryogen kit, and Damo 4 seconds ahead.
Yeah,
but the Arch is coming up pretty close. He's got to he's actually got a sprint.
What can you do, Mark? Let's see what you got. It's 5.5. I don't know. Tom's fighting him.
Yeah, he's got to get out of the saddle. He's got to be putting up that 10 watts a kg.
Yeah, I think he'll roll across the finish line. He's done well to come through from 10 minutes to get up to those guys. 10, 12 minutes.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive riding from this crew, and you can see he had been right. Nate Fulcher, brave race. He stayed with Mark for as long as possible. He's got Matt Boss on his wheel. He's Nate's coming through to the finish line now. Yeah,
Nate's had a great race, really. I mean, it was always going to be hard to keep up with Mark. But Nate did the team time trial on Friday morning. He was pulled into the top cryogen team, the Vultures team, and in the Premier League, and he took a role there, and we ended up coming fourth.
Oh, wow.
And that was the first time he's raced with the Vultures. So, he can pull himself up to do a big job on a day when he needs to. And he did that on Friday, and I think he's done it again today. He's just shown how strong he is, and, he's loving it. He'll be loving it.
Yeah, so we've got just some of our last riders on the climb here. You've got Cam Brown coming through, Yarrow, one of our male winners from last time. He's just about to catch up to Brett Litton, who's just rolling over at about 2 watts a kg. So I think be interested to hear from her. Message up if you can, Britt, but I'd say maybe you just had a bit of too many matches burnt on that first lap, staying with that group. But great work and coming through to the finish here with Steve Kovacic. And,
great ride. Brett races about 10 times a week, so it's probably...
Yeah. Hate that feeling when you start a Zwift race and those legs just die within the first 2K.
Yes.
Yeah, so we might round out that coverage now. And thanks Rob again coming in, and thanks everyone for turning up to race. And
I'll go through these results, and we'll see how it's all played out, and I'll do a bit of analysis on them.
Yeah, sounds good. And probably won't see you next week because hopefully we'll be at level 2. But look forward to some Try and Z racing starting in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll be there for sure, definitely.
Awesome. Cool.
Thank you.
See you, Rob.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya.